Hello everybody, my name is Daniel and in today's video I will show you how to make an OOP inventory system. Now if you don't know what OOP is, then I suggest you to watch some tutorials first and then come back to this video, because some things can be a bit confusing if you don't know what we're dealing with. So let's begin. First of all of this data stored will be in server side, because we don't want the client to add items in his own inventory and stuff like that. So create a module script and name it inventory system, or I'm just gonna say inventory H for handler, and I'm gonna replace module with env. All right, so now on the in the script, I don't know, just name it however you want. Now this script will initiate the inventory when the player joins. So let's get the player added event, let's get the player. And now we need to require the module, so I'm gonna do just that. Okay, now let's create our initialize function. All right, so first of all, I'm gonna set the index of this table to be itself, right? And just say env.init equals function. All right, so we want to pass the player, so I'm gonna get the player, and this function will return a brand new inventory, which is gonna be it's gonna be a table, but we're gonna set the meta table of this to be inv, so that we can have all the functions we're gonna add and all the methods. Now we want to get the player, return self here, and now this is not necessary, but it's a thing I like to do. I like to keep store of how many items we have here, so like the number of items, and default is 0. Now this table, take it as the inventory, but the items itself are gonna be stored in this table right here. Good. Now obviously if you want to have some settings here, you can say settings equals, and then I don't know, max items equals 5 or 100, or I don't know, I'm gonna say 5 for now. And then you can also specify the how many items can be in a stack, like in Minecraft, 64, or I don't know how many you want, right? But now we need to create a table that will update and store the player's inventory, so that we can access it from any other scripts. And why we are doing that is because if we create an inventory inside this script, only this script will have access to it. So what I'm gonna do is inv.players, and it's a blank table for now, but here I'm gonna say that inv.players index our table, our player will be equal to self. So what does this do is that player right here is a special key. It's a unique key that indicates our player. So if you want to access the player's inventory from any other script, we can just require this module and then say inv players index player, and we're gonna get all the inventory with all these properties and stuff. So yeah, and let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna say inventory equals to h dot init, and we're gonna give it a player, and let's go ahead and print I don't know, we can print, yeah, let's print the player. So let's go ahead and print the player. Let's press play, and as you can see, it is indeed my name. Good. So we have created a brand new inventory. Now we need items to store in our inventory. So let's create a module script. We're gonna name this item data. Okay, so item and item. Now this is not necessary, but I like to keep these things clean, so I'm gonna say export type item. Actually, I want this to be initialized and this be like this. Okay, equals a table, and here you can say, like here you can put your properties that any item will have. So what properties will your item have? So it's gonna have a name, which is gonna be a string. It's gonna have a count, so like we know, it's like how many items does the player have. If we have five stone, 5 sticks, 5, you know, so it's gonna be a number. I don't know, we can put gold, like how much does its value, how much gold, how much currency. Yeah, I'm gonna say equipable because we will make we will be able to equip them later on. So it's a boolean, and that's it for now. Alright, so just like with the inventory, we need to set the index to itself, and let's say item.create equals function item name, which is gonna be a string. Alright, now we're gonna create an item, but what item? Now here is how I do things. You can do this a lot of different ways, but this is how I like to do it. So this is item data. So here I'm gonna store all the items. So I'm gonna say stone item.stone equals a table, and I'm gonna typecast this by saying is the type of item. So now if I'm gonna say item.stone dot, you can see we have the name, we have the count, and we have the equipable boolean. Great. So let's go ahead and set it. So name equals stone, count equals 0. These are the default values. So don't put anything other than 0 and stuff, because we will change them later. This is the blank item. Great, so let's create the item now. Local self equals a brand new meta table with the item methods. Now we're gonna so we're gonna get this names, like we're gonna search with the help of this string inside this table right here. So a simpler way to do this is just say this, and now self dot, I mean not that. So we're gonna go, instead of going through this item table right here, we're gonna go through this one, and the I will be name and the IT will be stone. So I'm gonna say that to v, to value. So it doesn't really matter, but it's just how I like to say it, I guess. Self.I equals v, and we're gonna return self. Great, so let's go ahead and create an item. Now we're not gonna say directly in here and create item and stuff like that. No, we're gonna make a function here in the inventory module, and it will be function inv add item, and we will get the item name, which is gonna be a string, and the count, so how many items, but this can also be nil, so it's a number with question mark, because it can either be a number or nil. So I'm gonna say here local c equals count, so if count isn't nil, then it's gonna be count's value, or 1, so we can add one item if count is nil. Good. Now we need to make sure that this item, like we need to check if this item already exists in the inventory or not, but we also need to check if the inventory is nil, because if we were gonna say just like this in pairs self dot items, and if this is like we don't have any items, so this will be 0, then this will not run at all. So first let's check. So if self.items equals 0, then we can add the item without any issue, because we don't have any, so we don't have to go through all of this and check if it already exists and stuff. So I'm gonna put an else here and let it do this, but for now let's just create an item. So local item equals we need to require this, yeah. So right here on top is gonna say local item data equals require game replicated storage data. So local, not here, equals item data that create item name and C, and we can actually specify the type of this item, that is gonna be item data dot item. because we have used export. So now we can actually use these values here. So if I'm gonna say item dot name count equipable, it's right here. If we didn't have that, yeah, we only have the like this and what else, what, so create stone and yeah, the index, which is not the items technically. Great. So we've created the item. Well, we don't need to pass this. What am I doing? Item, we're gonna get the blank item and then we're gonna set our values to this new thing. So item.count equals C, and that's all. All right, so we're gonna set items number here to be +1, and then right here I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna be equal to item. So now if we go here, let's add stone. Let's add 5. Okay, and let's actually print our inventory. I'm gonna make this bigger. So this is our items table. So we have one item. It's got a count of 5. It's equipable and its name is stone. Great, that's exactly what we wanted. Let's go ahead and, I don't know, 15. You can see that count is 15. Great. So we're actually gonna return item because we want to exit this whole, even though it's a if statement, we want to exit. If you don't want to put this, is fine, but here it's a must to return something. So we're gonna go through our items, and I'm gonna change this to item. So if item dot name equals to item name, then that means we have found our item and it's good to go. So we're gonna just say item dot count plus equals C. There we go. Return item. But what if we didn't found our item here? We want to create a new one, because here we're gonna create only if we don't have any item. But what if we have, I don't know, 10 items and we still don't have this new item in particular? So here I'm gonna say finding existent item, and here I'm gonna say creating new item if, I know, it doesn't exist. So what am I gonna do? Simply just copy this. So first let's create, so we have one stone, and let's wait a bit, I don't know, 4 seconds, and then say this again. Oh, what? Okay, so what you're gonna need to do is actually add the item, because I haven't put this line. So I'm gonna add, I don't know, let's say 5. So here we have 1 item, and here we have 6, because 1 plus 5 equals 6. Great. Now let's go ahead and make another item. So in item data, we're gonna add I know, wood, because we have stone. Wood, count equals 0, equipable, let's see, false. Okay, so right here, let's add 2 wood, and here let's add 8 wood. Okay, so we start with 1 stone, 2 wood, and equipable is false. Here is true. Now after we added the items, we have 6 stone and 10 wood, which is great. Now I'm gonna make a custom function here, function find item, and we're gonna need item name and self. So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna take this and return item and I, so that we don't have to rewrite all of this again. So you can actually delete this, and we're gonna say if find item dot item name and self. So we're giving it the inventory. So if we find an item, then we're gonna do this, but we need to type this again, and item and index, and yeah, and now we don't need this anymore. So if it exists, it's gonna do this, and if not, it's gonna create a new item. Good. Now let's go ahead and make the remove item method. So function inv remove item, and again item name, it's a string, and count a number, but we expected it to also be nil. So now we're gonna also create a C here, but now that you have this find item function, we're gonna just go ahead and grab the item. So item and index, because this function returns 2 things, like the item and its position. So item here, it's an item, data.item, and it equals to find item, item name and self. So it is, so if count exists, then we're gonna remove count amount of items, and if not, we're gonna delete the item completely from the inventory. So let's go ahead and do that. So item dot count minus equals to C, and now if item dot count is less or equals to 0, then we want to remove the item. Otherwise, let's put that here and say that if item dot count is, then we're gonna delete it, but first we need to set it to 0, and then say table dot remove in cell dot items, and we're gonna remove the item at the position index. That's why we need this. Otherwise, just simply take away C amount of count. So we're gonna find the item, we're gonna get the amount of items that we want to remove, and if what we have is less or equals than what we want to take away, then we're simply gonna set it to 0 and remove it. But if we have more than what we want to take away, then we're just gonna take away. And that's pretty much it. So let's see. So I'm gonna put here 10. I'm gonna print it, and now I'm gonna say remove item. And I'm gonna say stone, and let's remove 5, and let's delete the wood completely. So we're not gonna put here anything. So let's see. So we have 5 stone and 2 wood, and now we only have 5 stone. Let's play around a little bit. So let's delete the stone. Let's put it also this way. So let's remove the stone and remove 1 wood, so that you can see that it rearranges the table, if you know what I mean. So we have 5 stone, 10 stone and 2 wood, and now we only have 1 wood. Alright, so this is the end of part 1. In the next video we will be making UI, and we're gonna make also the ability to equip and unequip these items if they have equipable set to true, because maybe we don't want any item to be able to be equipable. Maybe it's an ingredient, or I don't know. This is really customizable. But yeah, this is the end of part 1. I'll see you guys in the next video.